Zoe, I'm so glad to have you a part of our Learn to Listen series. And it's just been an honor through these years to get to know you and to be able to come and participate with the amazing activities and events and what you have going on in Mexico. So actually, as we're first starting, I'd love for you to introduce yourself and share a little bit more about just your dance and ministry and where you live and how God's moving. And then we'll jump into some questions. So welcome.
Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. Well, you know me, my name is Zoe, and I'm from Mexico, and I'm in Mexico, a worship leader, dance and music, and every year we create this huge event, and that idea is to put musicians and dancers to teach them how to work together and give the best for God. And this can be also a very good opportunity to reach out to others that they don't know about the love of God. So we have a lot of work here in Mexico, and we're so happy to working with you and your family this past event, and you're part of this, and you know it. And once again, thank you so much for making me part of this interview.
Absolutely. You're so welcome. Well, you're located in, the ministry is down in Zamora, which
Yes.
is down farther away from where you all live. So your husband's a pastor, worship leader. So you've got a commute. Just share a little bit about what that whole ministry looks like.
Yeah. We live actually in Guadalajara. My husband, David, and I we're pastors of a church here in Guadalajara. So every week, like every weekend, we drive for 2.5 hours to Zamora. Zamora is in a different state. In Zamora, my parents are the pastors from a church, but the worship team, music, and dance team, they're from Zamora. So we travel every week to teach them and be with them and to prepare them. So technically we have two ministries, and during the week, here in Guadalajara as a pastors, and in Zamora as a pastors of music, and dance.
Yeah, that's huge commitment.
Yes, we had two fields of working fields.
That's great. Well, the first question, we'll just jump into it. And I think a part of your just ministry and what you're doing will evolve through answering these questions. In this series, I'm really looking at how to help us to cultivate a better understanding and practice in ways we can listen to God. And I know that God speaks to you really clearly and gives you lots of different ideas, both in ministry and creatively. But just how do you feel like you've cultivated those skills to listen, and where do you feel like it's the most important in your relationship with God, the listening, and other relationships? Just can you share some insight about that?
Yeah. I do really feel that my desire for Christ to live in me every day makes me to meditate on my ways to remove anything can hinder others to see Jesus through my life. And I do believe that importance of for everybody to listen. I mean, everybody to see Jesus through my life, and to learn to listen. I'm learning from Him, because I do think every time I want God to listen to me, He always have listened to me, and He's the best example to follow, you know, and through my relationship with Him every day. And once again, like I said, my desire just to be like Him, my identity to be just like Him, and I feel like this world needs hope. This world needs something that is missing, the love of God, and I just want for people to see that in me through Him, and I think I need to learn from Him. And one of the things I'm learning from Him is to listen, you know, and you know, like He's my best example. When I'm God, I'm feeling like this way. God, I need this. I know he's constantly listening to me. It doesn't matter what is happening to me, but he's listening. And I do feel like that's how I have to be here with everyone. Just be patient and listen to everyone. You know, it's like in the same way, like to trying to find the peace, like in guard my heart, like Proverbs 4:23 says, to guard my heart from anxiety, guard my heart from stress, guard my heart from anything that will steal my peace. Because I know for a fact that when I have the peace of God in my life, I am going to learn his word and I'm going to put it into practice. That's also how I'm learning to listening, also to learn. You know, I have to, everything that God is teaching me, so I can gather I need to gather in my heart, to keep it in my heart so I can put it in practice. And you know, other ways like that I'm listening to learn is listening my body.
Yes.
So when I was 14 years old, the doctors told me that I have this problem in my back called scoliosis. And dance has been helping me through all this time to feel better for my back. But just recently, like a couple of years ago, I had my second baby. And from that pregnancy, I started having back pain. And I went back to the doctor to see what was going on. And apparently because my pregnancy was, because my two pregnancies were giving me like, they were hurting my back so much. So the doctor told me, you know what, you need to slow down. Your body's telling you to slow down. And in that moment, it shocked me because I'm so used to do so much and dance and run one place to the other place until I stop. And I okay, I need to listen what God is teaching me. And what God was teaching me is that he was using my body because he wants to give me a lesson. And the lesson was, and that he wanted me to learn, is so I can worship in the secret. There was more important what I was doing with him in the secret, when nobody else is seeing, when nobody else opinion is saying, oh, so we did great, or so we did not do great, or God says, no, this is time for you to put in practice what you have been meditating through my word. And it's time so you can worship in the secret, not what everybody's seeing you. And I think that's how my body also was collaborating with God. So they can put me in that spot. And I can tell you this year has been wonderful for me. And I think for most of the people can be very difficult because your body's telling you one thing, but your mind is telling you, yes, you can do it. But God is telling you, no, it's a time where you need to learn to listen to me so you can worship in the secret. Yeah.
That is so beautiful. And just hearing you articulate, because I know that just with meeting you and working with you this summer, to realize just what you've been processing through and how your back has been in this healing process and how God's been moving in your life in such a beautiful way. So thank you for sharing that, and from a practical place as well. Just let's move to the next question, and that one is looking at this whole understanding of just important leadership qualities and what you believe are ones that you value for yourself, but others that you might share to encourage leaders that you feel like those are good leadership qualities to cultivate in their own practice.
Yeah, I think these qualities are very important. Faithfulness, commitment, generosity, honesty, never stop learning from your students, never stop learning from your teachers, never stop learning. I think these are very at least for me, they're very important. Faithfulness, Jesus says, he's who faithful just in the small things is going to be faithful in the great things. And I think that when we are faithful to God, we can be faithful to anybody. And God is teaching us to be faithful. I think the lack of faithfulness in this world is very evident. And I think we need to cultivate that faithfulness to my students, that I'm going to be here no matter what decision you made, no matter if you leave or you come back, I'm going to be here, having commitment to my students, and that I'm going to be commitment to be here every practice, but not only when it's a practice, I'm going to be commitment to be part of your life. We're a family. And I see, like, as a leader with my students, that we need to become a family, because when you are a family, you have the same vision, you have the same purpose, you are going in the same direction. And being honest, because I want for my students to be honest. You know what, Zoe, I don't like this makes me so uncomfortable. Or maybe your vision and the rest of the team's vision is not my vision anymore. I have to go. Or in the same way, for me, being honest with my students when I don't think they're being very commitment, and also very important to learn from my students. I think they have something that I'm lacking of, and I need to learn from what they have and I do not have. And it's a point, I feel like there is a point as a teacher when we think that we don't need from our students, and I think that's a mistake that we made very often. But when we realize that God has been given to those students something that I don't have, that's when you start growing, and that's when you start learning from them. And also, I strongly believe as a teacher, you need to have another teacher, because when you think that you know all of it, I think that's when you're going to start fail, and you're going to make your team fail too. So, in generosity, God constantly is giving us overflow, like would not stop, would not limits. And as leaders, there's something that we need to teach our students to give very generosity. Or if you have this talent and you have developed this talent, go with somebody else that is struggling and give generosity of what God has been giving you, teaching them with love, patience, and there is different other ways, but I do really think those are the most important that a leader needs to have.
Those are really beautiful. And I agree that they're incredibly important. As you're speaking about the aspect of remaining a student, even when you're a teacher, I feel like that's one of the ways I describe myself, and hopefully others see me that way as well, that although I'm an educator and teacher and leader, I want to stay such a student, and student of God, student of God's word, but student of the Spirit of God within other people as well. And being in the university setting, being able to teach at that age group, I am constantly learning from my students, just listening to the reply and cultivating that leadership. I also think it's important for us to provide an opportunity for others that we have charged to lead, an opportunity for their voice to be heard. And so cultivating that. And so I'm hearing that from you as well, the importance of being a student as you are a teacher and leader, because you're going to be so much more enriched. Us as leaders will be so much more enriched. So yeah, that's really lovely, really, really beautiful. So our next question really looks at how God is moving in the arts today. Just what do you feel? What do you believe? The ways God's moving through the arts, and you do have this multifaceted opportunity to connect with musicians live and dancers. And then how do you feel like he is, and how do you believe and see he's moving in and through you and your work and your ministry and calling that he's given to you, responsibility he's given you charge over. So I'd love to hear those things from you.
I believe that God is giving an opportunity to the artist to raise up. So Christ, he can speak through the humanity, through the art. I do think we are in a time when that opportunity is given to all of us. And so you and I, we know being a dancer or being a musician is very hard in our society. I don't think they give that importance, and I don't think society feels like we have something to give. But I strongly feel that God is open doors so he can speak through us as an artist to the whole society. And you know, I think now I'm going to talk a little bit about Prócora. And like Prócora, this event started 12 years ago, and my vision was to let know people in the church, and not only people in the church, that the importance the art has, that God can really speak, that we can really listen his voice through when somebody's dancing, when somebody, you know, is moving, or when somebody's is playing. And something that I start doing in my event is that during concerts, when musicians are playing and dancers are dancing, people are not standing, they're sitting down. So they will not have a distraction, and they can feel the power of God through the lyrics, through being united with the movement, the melody of the movement with the melody of the instrument of the musician. God is speaking to them. So you will see in my event that people just start crying. Even if it's a fast song or a slow song, people is just crying. And you know, my event start just with 30 people 12 years ago, and I was very persistent every year. And this past year, we have like 1,150 people. But what is very amazing is that these people who came to this event, half of the people are pastors. And that is something amazing, that a pastor can go to an event of music and dance. And you can see, I'm on the stage, and I can see the pastors crying and believing really what one day they doubt, music is not important or dance is not important. Now the pastor is saying, God is speaking to me through a musician and through a dancer. And I do think that's that opportunity that God is giving us. It's so easy to talk to when you're a dancer. It's easy to talk with another dancer because you're sharing everything, you know, the same vision. But when you're trying to convince a pastor or somebody that has anything to do with art, and telling them, yeah, listen to me, God can speak through a movement of a dancer or with a musician. And when you really see them sitting down in front of you and they're just crying, and they are just saying, you know what, next time I'm going to bring the rest of my people from church because they need to see this. And I have this example. This pastor came in Prócora, and when he came to Prócora the first time, he only showed up with another person. He and another person, they were only two. And this time he showed up with 160 people. He said from 1 year ago, he said, we are going to start saving money because it's necessary to go to Prócora. God has something there, and it's not just concerts or something beautiful. It's just God is moving through the arts. And I can tell you this, that God is doing something very special through the artist. And it's just amazing. I'm very excited about it.
So beautiful. And just what I remember about the history is that it really started as an event and gathering for teaching and education, but also presentation. It was really the artists that first came together. And then after a couple of years or a few years, your father, who's a pastor, realized that these artists were gathering, getting training, having an opportunity where presentation was happening, and they were going back to their home churches, and the pastors didn't know what to do with them because they didn't have an understanding. So your father started a pastoral track. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
And so now, as you're saying, it's, I think there was maybe 500 or more, right? Pastors that were there.
I think this year we're like 670 people, pastors, 670 pastors. And we start with, a few years ago when we started inviting the pastors, they only came like 100. And now we're like 670. And those pastors brings their dancers and their musicians. So when they go back home, they do just a whole explosion in their churches, and they're investing on musicians, and they're investing on the dancers. You know what I'm saying? Giving them the value, the importance.
That's excellent. And then share a little bit about how many countries are coming to Mexico City to have this experience.
This year, we have 14 different countries that they came. So these people, it's just amazing, because these people, they will pay hundreds of dollars just to come to a 2-day event. For instance, somebody from Argentina, they will pay like a $2,000 plane ticket to come to Mexico City, plus the hotel, food, plus paying our event, just only 2 days. But they will save money the whole year just to come, because they said that when they come to Prócora, it's just vitamins from God. It's like giving them the new strength. So they go back to their country, and they're trying to share with other people. Like, for instance, this year, the country of Chile, last year, they only came 10 people, but this year they came 35 people from the country of Chile. And that is just amazing. I mean, how is these people that are willing to pay so much money for a music and dance event? Do you know what I'm saying? That means that God is really doing something there. And I just recently said, I really wish one Prócora I can be sitting down and seeing everything. Everybody's saying wonderful things. And I do think that the experience, that whatever you're experiencing, is different when you're sitting there and when you're on the stage. And I just think that can be wonderful sitting there and feeling what everybody's feeling.
Really wonderful. Well, we're going to go to the last question, and then at the end, I want to make sure that we have time to just for you to share just website information, and I'll also put that at the bottom of our link as well, embedded. But just as we're looking at this last question, it's really generic, just asking about your heart and what else do you feel we have not covered that you would like to share that you feel would be encouraging to other leaders.
I do think that each of us, we have a purpose here in life, and we can have a very difficulties passing through, and just do not give up. God has a very special plan for each of us, and we need to continue, because God really is doing something amazing. And I feel that for me, it's very important to work with musicians. Usually dancers, it is very unlikely when a dancer just sit down with another musician and say, hey, what about if we create a piece of music? But rhythm is something in common the musicians and dance, they both need. And when they work together and finding that being united, so God can speak through them. And I do think that I have been working for years trying to find this, being united with musicians and as a dancer. And I want to encourage all these dance leaders to find musicians and start working as a team. I think for dancers, we usually trying to find a piece of music to trying to put it in a choreography. And it's like, no, I want to sit down with a musician and say, hey, this is my piece of choreography. Can you help me to put the music into the choreography? And I'm telling you, it can be really hard, but it's happening. It's happening to me. And and trying to teach musicians to understand the importance to work with a dancer too. When a dancer and a musician, they work together, we can do great things, and God can use us in a greater way. But I think the most important thing that we cannot give up, and we need to pursue that calling and plan that God has for us in our life.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. Well, I've seen it happen numerous times now because I've been with you for a few years, and so honored to participate and have the opportunity to teach, but just I get to sit in the audience and in the congregation and just absorb, and I agree with what other people are experiencing as well. It just is so powerful and so moving, and how the Spirit flows so beautifully and so freely. And it's just one more opportunity how the Spirit of God can have this message that comes out, but how it touches everybody individually where we are in our life, and
Mm-hmm.
that how it just transcends that understanding. Well, I'm so thrilled that you are continuing to persevere, and that I know just anytime we have responsibilities like you've been given and trusted by the Lord, it's met with challenges. And I just appreciate times to be able to counsel with you, and times to be able to just be a cheerleader and a support, and just see how this keeps multiplying.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so beautiful, Zoe, really beautiful. And I'm so thankful for your perseverance in the Lord. So as we're closing, what I'd love for you to do, just share how people can connect with you, the name of the ministry. I don't know if we already have the date set for next year. No pressure there, but I'll put the links on so people can take a look. And I'd love to put links so people can look at video as well to see and hear. So just can you share a little bit about how we can contact you?
Yeah, we have a YouTube channel. We have a Facebook, Instagram, and we have a website. You guys can find us. It's called PrócoraOficial.com. And on Facebook you can just put Prócora Oficial, and we have all the information there. And next year, Prócora will be again in the month of July. Actually, next week I'm going to go back to Mexico City to finalize the contracts and for the event for next year. So yeah, definitely you guys can reach us out. Just like PrócoraOficial.com. I think it can be hard to remember. Prócora is kind of a weird name, but we can type it down so you get the link. But yeah, we can be really happy if you guys have any more questions or want to be part of this. It will be great.
Yeah. We invite you with welcome arms to come to Mexico City next July. It's going to be awesome. That's so great. Yeah. Well, Zoe, thank you for your time, and just blessings on you and the ministry and David and all that he's doing, and the work that you're doing together, and those sweet little daughters that you've got. Yeah. Blessings.
Thank you. Thank you.